Picture this. It's a hot summer day in the late 19th century, and you're strolling down the streets of New Bern, North Carolina. You're parched and in need of something cool and refreshing to quench your thirst. Suddenly, you stumble upon a small drugstore with a sign that reads, Bradham's Pharmacy. Intrigued, you step inside and are greeted by the smiling face of a young pharmacist named Caleb Bradham. He offers you a glass of his latest creation, a fizzy, caramel-colored concoction that he calls Brad's Drink. As you take a sip, you can't help but smile. This is no ordinary beverage. Little do you know, this chance encounter with Bradham and his innovative creation would lead to the birth of one of the most iconic brands in the world, Pepsi. In the late 19th century, a pharmacist named Caleb Bradham in New Bern, North Carolina, was looking for a way to create a delicious and refreshing beverage that would help his customers with digestion and provide a boost of energy. He experimented with different ingredients and finally hit upon a combination of cola nuts, vanilla, and caramel that he called Brad's Drink. Brad's Drink quickly became a hit in his drugstore, and he began selling it at soda fountains in town. In 1898, Bradham decided to rename his drink Pepsi Cola, after two of its main ingredients, pepsin, an enzyme that aids in digestion, and cola nuts. He registered the trademark for Pepsi Cola in 1903 and began expanding the business beyond his small town. Pepsi Cola quickly became popular throughout the southeastern United States, and by 1910, it had opened bottling plants in cities like New York and Baltimore. But then, disaster struck. World War I disrupted the flow of ingredients needed to make Pepsi Cola, and Bradham was forced to declare bankruptcy. The brand changed hands several times over the years, but it never regained its former glory. That is, until a new player entered the game, a charismatic businessman named Donald Kendall, who became CEO of Pepsi Cola in 1963. Kendall had big ambitions for the company, and he set his sights on taking down his biggest rival, Coca-Cola. Kendall launched a series of daring marketing campaigns, including the famous Pepsi Generation campaign in the 1960s, which targeted young people and positioned Pepsi as the drink of the rebellious and the hip. He also made bold moves, like signing Michael Jackson as a spokesperson and negotiating a deal to sell Pepsi in the Soviet Union, becoming the first American consumer product to be sold in the communist country. Despite setbacks and challenges, Kendall's vision paid off. Pepsi Cola became one of the most recognized and beloved brands in the world, known for its refreshing taste and catchy slogans like, "The choice of a new generation," and "The joy of cola." In the 1980s, Pepsi continued to innovate and expand its product line. It introduced Diet Pepsi in 1964 and Mountain Dew in 1969, and later launched other popular drinks like Slice, Pepsi Max, and Sierra Mist. In 1998, Pepsi merged with Frito-Lay to create PepsiCo, a massive snack and beverage empire that includes brands like Doritos, Tostitos, Gatorade, and Quaker Oats. Today, PepsiCo is a global giant, with a presence in over 200 countries and a portfolio of products that extends beyond just soda to include snacks, sports drinks, and more. And the story of Pepsi is a testament to the power of perseverance, creativity, and bold thinking. But the story of Pepsi is not just a corporate history. It's also a story of cultural trends, changing tastes, and the ways in which brands can shape our world. Throughout its history, Pepsi has been intertwined with pop culture and has helped to shape it in turn. In the 1960s and 70s, for example, Pepsi was closely associated with the counterculture and the youth movement. The Pepsi Generation campaign targeted young people who were looking for something new and different, and the brand became a symbol of rebellion and independence. In the 1980s and 90s, Pepsi continued to embrace cultural trends, sponsoring huge events like Live Aid and the Super Bowl halftime show, and collaborating with artists like Michael Jackson, Madonna, and Britney Spears. But Pepsi's cultural impact extends beyond just marketing and advertising. The company has also played a role in important social and political movements throughout history. In 1955, Pepsi became one of the first major American companies to desegregate its workforce, hiring black salespeople and executives at a time when racial discrimination was still rampant in many parts of the country. This move was not just a smart business decision, but a moral one as well, and it helped to pave the way for greater diversity and inclusion in the corporate world. More recently, Pepsi has taken a stand on important issues like climate change and social justice. In 2019, the company announced a new sustainability initiative called Beyond the Bottle, which aims to reduce its use of plastic and increase recycling. And in the wake of the Black Lives Matter protests, PepsiCo pledged to invest $400 million over 5 years to support black-owned businesses and communities. Of course, Pepsi has also had its share of controversies and missteps. In 1975, the company famously launched a promotion called the Pepsi Challenge, in which consumers were asked to taste Pepsi and Coke blind and choose their favorite. The campaign was a huge success and helped to boost Pepsi's market share, but it also sparked a fierce rivalry between the two brands that persists to this day. In 1989, Pepsi found itself at the center of another controversy when it aired a commercial featuring Kendall Jenner that was widely criticized for trivializing the Black Lives Matter movement. The ad was quickly pulled and the company apologized, but the incident served as a reminder of the power and responsibility that comes with being one of the world's largest and most recognizable brands. Despite its ups and downs, the story of Pepsi is a remarkable one. From its humble beginnings as a local soda fountain to its position as a global leader in food and beverages, Pepsi has always been a company that has pushed boundaries, taken risks, and challenged the status quo. And while it's impossible to predict what the future holds for PepsiCo and its brands, one thing is certain: as long as there are consumers looking for great tasting drinks and snacks, there will be a place for Pepsi in the world.